Well, I mean, Daredevil had been around for, 50 years with a number of amazing creators on it. I can't even think of another comics character that's had more of a, longer run of successful, really good work done on it. But Marvel reached a point where we're like, their attitude was, hey, we kind of need it to be a little different, because it's gotten to be such a dour, depressing book, and the characters become so tormented. Tom Brevoort and Steve Wacker, editors at Marvel, approached me about the possibility of doing it, and I was intrigued by this notion, because we all agreed that I was the least likely person to take on Daredevil, because I'm sort of known for bright, joyous, non-cynical, not happy, but certainly just, brighter superhero stuff. And that's not what Daredevil is known for, but at the same time, it's time to take a chance. And I've been thrilled, just thrilled by the outpouring of support that people are on the same page as I am, which is to say, all the Daredevil work in the last 10, 15 years has been amazing, but there's only so many times you can kick Matt Murdock in the teeth without, it just becoming repetitive. So, that said, the take on the book now is, here's a guy who's decided he's tired of being depressed. He's a guy who's decided he's tired of being tormented. Now, so he's going to live life like he's not. Now, the problem is, you don't get to turn the clock back on your life like that and just have everybody else in your life accept that that's going to be the case. Like, the conflict within the characters now is that Matt Murdock has decided, well, this is the way I'm going to be. I'm just going to be happy now. I'm just going to be happier. And his other friends are sort of like, well, that sounds great, but there's some stuff you got to own. Like, there's some stuff that you did that you got to own up to. Wait. No. There's some stuff you got to own up. So that's their constant friction there. That's the, in terms of the personal stuff, that's the future of the book. In terms of the setup of the book, Matt Murdock has always been a trial lawyer, Daredevil's other identity, and where I was left by previous writers is that Daredevil's secret identity is pretty well known. I mean, he's been outed as a superhero and as Matt Murdock in the Marvel Universe. And so how do you cope with that as a trial lawyer? How do you enter the courtroom and have a serious trial when the opposition can just keep calling you Daredevil and making the case about you? So what we set up in the first 3 issues is the fact that Matt finally comes to terms with the fact that this is not something he can do right now. So he's got to find another way to help people. Now, Matt knows all about standing up to bullies. And he knows all about teaching himself to stand up for what's right, and teaching himself to stand up for his principles and against bullies, because this is what he dealt with all as a kid. So it makes sense that what he does now is he is not technically a trial lawyer. He's a legal consultant. If you come to Matt Murdock with a case that he believes in, that he knows that you're in the right, but you can't find representation either because you can't afford it, or because no one will take your case because it seems frivolous, or because no one will take your case because they're afraid of the repercussions, Matt will walk you through the process, and he will help you be your own lawyer. I won the jackpot on artists. We start with Paulo Rivera, who I have never worked with before. Didn't know how that collaboration was going to be, but it turns out he's a spectacular artist and a really good thinking artist. Like, his sense of design is really good, but his sense of storytelling is just exemplary. He's phenomenal. And then also in that rotation, Marcos Martin, who I had worked with a little bit on Spider-Man and knew his strengths. And he also is a guy who thinks about these stories. And I can't turn in a script without Marcos sending back a bunch of questions and notes and suggestions for improvement. And the thing is, I don't have any ego about this stuff. It's all, he's right, ooh, that's a better idea. Ooh, oh, really? You want to do it in a subway instead of the park? Oh, that's a better scene. I'm fine with all that. They're both great to work with. We probably will. Marvel wants to publish, because it's been so successful, Marvel actually wants to publish more than 12 next year. They want to publish, like, I don't know, like 15 or 18 or as many as I can write. So we're going to have to bring in some more people. Obviously, Paulo is still the leadoff hitter. Paulo is still like the mainstay guy. We haven't talked about who to bring on yet, but Paulo, like I said, is still our guy. The way Irredeemable and Incorruptible are working in the near future is that they've all been set, they've both been set in the same universe. We've tried to sort of keep the characters apart for a while because once you throw them together, I don't know how you get them apart again. Although they've been fighting in Incorruptible in the last couple of months. But what we are doing in the upcoming months, I guess, let me do the math, January, February, I think, is a 4-issue sort of crossover that is 2 issues of Irredeemable, issues 32 and 33, and 2 issues of Incorruptible, which are 25 and 26, I think. And in the 2 issues of Irredeemable, we finally turn over all the cards and show you Plutonian's origin. And then in Incorruptible, same thing. We show you the real details of Max's origins. And you can read each of them separately if you want, but if you read all 4 of them together, you'll see a lot more connection between them than, there's a lot of hidden Easter eggs and stuff, like, scenes that are seen from one point of view in one book and from another point of view in another book. And it gives you a bigger picture, a bigger sort of overall sense of what the final the picture looks like. But yeah, writing the Plutonian's origin and finally turning over all those cards, that's a little daunting. And I wrote one scene last night, and it really, I stepped away from it. I'm like, that's the darkest, really darkest thing I've written yet in this book, and that's saying a lot. So I just took a long shower with a scrub brush and a steel wool and feel better. That's pretty much my plate for the time being. Daredevil, Irredeemable, Incorruptible. I know there's other things that are coming up that we haven't announced yet, and I'm spending a lot of time developing a lot of webcomic work that I'll be announcing in the next couple of months, because I think that it's really important to keep a strong foothold in that medium, because I love what the web can do that print can't. And the trick is just trying to find a way to service both masters. So that's a full workload right in and of itself. Yeah, well, I mean, probably the place where you're liable to see me more is Twitter, at Mark Waid. Mark Waid is my Twitter handle. I'm also at markwaid.com. I haven't updated that blog for a while, but there's a lot of sort of Comics 101 information there in terms of older entries about how stories are created, about how comics are created. If you're just starting out and you want some advice, there's a whole section of stuff there. So that's what I would advise.